That's how I explain it. So during a reading, music, just sort of put all of those feelings together into a single message, which I then have to give. For years, Tyler Henry has made a living by telling people things they could never know. But now he has to deal with something so terrible, music, that it has completely shocked him. It was a surprise news that turned his life upside down and put everything he's worked for at risk. Of course you do in season 2, which starts in 2017 and is called Hollywood Medium. On top of that, I did a reading with Bobby Brown that was filmed. People can tell that the normally cool and collected face is beginning to crack. What's really going on is much worse than anyone thought. But it's not just his health that's at risk. His job, his future, and the very thing that made him who he is could all be affected by this news. So, what's really going on with Hollywood's most popular form of art? It's much sadder than anyone thought the truth would be. Tyler Henry is a man with special skills who has made a living by knowing things he shouldn't be able to. He has talked to mothers who are sad about their children's deaths about the clothes their children were wearing when they died. He has told famous people about family members who died before they were born. He has written books, been on TV shows, and made a list of more than 600,000 people who want to hear him read. The Emmy Awards-giving body, the Television Academy, has said that he is the most sought-after psychic in the US and around the world. Even though he said he could see what was going to happen, nothing could have prepared him for the terrible health situation that just happened. Tyler Henry Colowan was born in Hanford, California, on January 13, 1996. Hanford is a small farming town in the middle of the state. His early years were normal. Someone who claimed to be able to talk to the dead did not raise him or hang out with him. A normal family lived with him. His town was like any other. In the spring of 2006, when she was 10, she saw the first sign that something was wrong. When he woke up one morning, he was sure that his grandmother was going to die. He went to his mother and began to tell her how he was feeling. His father called with the news before he could finish. His grandmother had died. Tyler Henry's whole life changed in that moment. He didn't want it to happen, but he couldn't explain it away. No one had told him anything bad about his grandmother's health. He hadn't seen that she looked weak. He had just learned something from waking up that he shouldn't have known. That was a bad idea when he was 10 years old and told a girl in his class about his skills. The friend told her mother at home, and the mother set up a prayer group at her church. They didn't pray for Tyler to do well. They said prayers for his soul. People in his small town did not seem interested or amazed. It was fear. As word got out about what he said he could do, he was picked on by classmates and people in the neighborhood. A kid who hadn't done anything wrong was picked on because he said he could talk to the dead. He finished high school early, at age 16, and went to college with a clear goal in mind. He wanted to work as a nurse in a hospice. He really did want to be there for people. He really thought he had a gift and wanted to help people who were in pain with it. But the numbers were getting in the way. The need grew. People began knocking on his door and asking for readings. The head of his college even asked him to read something. This is when he understood that becoming a nurse wasn't going to be his path. His TV job began when he was just barely out of high school. He got his own show on E! Called Hollywood Medium with Tyler Henry when he was 20 years old. He became well known thanks to the 4 seasons. Some of the world's most famous people went to see him for readings. There are many more names on the list, such as Howie Mandel, Kris Jenner, Kim Kardashian, Kylie Jenner, Boy George, and Ellen DeGeneres. He was a kid from a farming town in Central California who was sitting next to the world's most famous people and telling them about their dead relatives. He was in a Netflix show called Life After Death with Tyler Henry when he was 26 years old. In 9 episodes of the show, he worked with regular people on his waiting list who had been waiting months or years to sit down with him. These were not famous people. At the time the show was recorded, there were 300,000 people on that waiting list for the songs. Since then, it's grown to more than 600,000. At age 28, he started a new Netflix show called Live from the Other Side. It was an 8-week music live show with uncensored readings from famous people and regular people. He also does a live show tour called An Evening of Hope and Healing, where he talks about his gift and reads people in real time. Laughs, he's written 2 books that were big hits. Tyler Henry has been telling people what is going to happen for almost 20 years. He has been the one who knows what to do, who calms people down, and who can tell moms who are sad that their children are at peace. But things have changed in the last few months. The man who says he can see into the future couldn't see what was going to happen to him. Tyler Henry could never have imagined that his health would get so bad. It's almost too cruel to believe the irony. Some things in their life caused trouble. One person thinks Tyler Henry really does have a gift, while another thinks he is just lying. People have been skeptical of him since he was a teenager and did readings in his small California town. While his fame has grown, so has the noise. He knows that he will face doubt about his music for a long time, ranging from religious criticism to scientific dismissal. In the past few years, the critics have gotten more organized and loud, and some of their points are hard to argue with. One of the most well-known skeptical groups in the world, the Center for Inquiry, put out a piece in October 2024 that didn't hold back. By putting experts like Tyler Henry on TV, the author said, media companies take advantage of people who are sad, music, to make money. The piece said that these shows play with people's feelings while calling themselves entertainment. It said that outlets don't care about ethics because they want money and clicks. Skeptics are most upset about how Tyler Henry presents his readings. Every show of Hollywood medium is polished and put together. At sad times, the music gets louder. The camera stays on people's tears. The ones that get music played are the ones that seem to work. It is decided that the parts where Henry says something that doesn't work are not to be used. Critics say that the production team would release those long clips just to show the doubters they are wrong if Henry could consistently get specific, verifiable information. Still, they haven't. There is still a lot of anger in this argument about the Alan Thicke music case. He passed away in 2016 from a heart disease called an aortic dissection. In an episode of Hollywood Medium that aired months before he died, Henry told Thicke that he might have chest pain. At first glance, it looked like proof that Henry does see things. But doubters have said that heart disease kills more men than anything else in the US. Some people don't think it's a good idea to tell an older man about his heart health when he was 69 years old. It's just a game of odds. The methods that Henry's foes say he uses are not new. Hot reading means finding out about someone ahead of time by using public records, social media, or even just talking to staff members. When you cold read, you make general statements that the client then fills in with specifics. Henry reads music by holding things that belong to the person he is reading about. This is called music psychometry. A famous person might bring a watch or jewelry, and Henry will talk about how it makes him feel or what it makes him think of. Some doubters say that's just hot reading because the thing can be studied. They say that you can look up the owner on Google and that Henry doesn't have to give information from the other side. Henry has reacted to the doubts in a surprisingly honest way. He says he doesn't mind when people ask him questions and that showing his work is the best way to explain it. He has talked about the doubts people have about what he does in interviews, saying that his music Netflix live series gives him a chance to deal with them directly by doing high-stakes readings in real time that have not been cut. Henry read aloud on The Talk on CBS for co-host Jerry Unnell. Once that was over, O'Connell said he had faith in Henry's skills. He said the reading was longer than what people saw on TV, but this made people doubt him even more. At first, critics didn't understand why the longer version hadn't been released instead. Why would the production team cut it out if they got more specific information? It keeps showing up in the same way. The person who gets the reading is sure. But the proof that would finally put the doubters to rest never gets out to the public. Henry has used science tests to try to shut up the critics. In the season 4 finale of Hollywood Medium, he had a brain scan to show that his powers are based in his brain. However, doubters were not pleased. When he replied, they said that a brain scan could only show that something is going on in his head and not where the information is coming from. They said the brain scan doesn't prove he's talking to the dead, just like it doesn't prove a chess expert is getting moves from God. Tyler Henry has been involved in these problems his whole career. People have called him a grief monster, a con artist, and a skilled liar. People have said that he is manipulating medical odds, using hot reading methods, and hiding behind edits. In spite of everything, he has stayed calm and kept building his business. But there was one issue that was more personal than any other. A issue that showed he wasn't good at what he did and that he, music, couldn't hide. The incident that made Tyler Henry very upset. Tyler Henry was in a lot of trouble with doubters and scientists, which was normal. He was ready for those. He had to deal with critics ever since he was a teenager. However, the incident that shocked him in 2019, music, did not come from a critic or someone who disproved something. It was because of a DNA test that showed he was lacking in a way that he still can't explain. Teresa Callowin, his mother, chose to do a DNA test at home. At the time, she was in her 50s and didn't think anything strange would happen. Stella Gordy Nestle was her mother, and she knew who she was because they had grown up together. She took the test for fun and to find out more about her family history. But the news that the test was negative changed her whole life upside down. The woman who raised Teresa wasn't really her mother. Teresa had been lying to herself for more than 50 years. She thought that her real family, people she had never met, lived somewhere out there. It turned out that her real mother had died in 2001. Because of this, Tyler Henry never got to meet his true grandmother. He never knew she was alive because she died. It got worse when we learned the truth about Stella Nestle. Stella had been found guilty of murder and given 2 life sentences in prison for killing 2 people in the 1970s. Music, Stella got jail time for those crimes when Teresa was only 12 years old. Teresa had a hard time dealing with the DNA news. While she was glad Tyler didn't have a criminal grandma, she also said that the news was sad. The siblings she loved and grew up with were not her real siblings. She said it didn't matter because they would always be close because of that tie. It was a real loss, though.